passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on, so Nuhoff in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. He doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haig deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
Say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the loud pedal, and approach he's dropped him all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And it definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down it towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed Morton forward up ahead. He's got out of line. It's now Pike going to have a go at Werrell. Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still start chopper. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden Miller's back in play.
On to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for the race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's allowed to have fun. Yeah, it's all about the entertainment. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching. And the Burger King machine's off into the grass a little bit there as they're really bunching up now.
Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
Oh, look at the toss! They haven't got it!
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still slot chopper. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it! Big Barry!
And welcome to Rudskogen for the second round of Season 2 in the 2024 Radical Race Series. It is across to Europe for this second round of the championship, as we have 3 American races in the first 4. This is the only one that isn't in North America. It is the Rudskogen Motor Centre for what will be a 30-lap event, or we'll see 30 laps of racing over the event here tonight. 11 laps in the sprint race, 19 in the feature, as we're going to have in the next race at Road Atlanta in 1 week's time as well. So hope that you'll stay with us tonight and join us for that one in a week's time as well, in our traditional Radical Race Series action on a Thursday night. It's myself, Ewan O'Leary, James Parfitt alongside you for this one at the moment, and we're looking forward to this one. Not a track that you particularly enjoy apparently here, James, but it's maybe reflected in the field too. I've got to say that some people are coming up against you and coming up against some of those who are protesting about the circuit. I think Mike Booster might be being sarcastic when he's talking about the track, but James Barry definitely said that he's enjoying it. He's second in practice at the moment, and clearly there are lovers of this track. Yeah, it's Graham Brown mentioning as well that it is event week, so that's adding to it as well. That's Simon Edwards' reason for not racing tonight. So 2 drop rounds for him taken in the first 2 weeks, which will make things very interesting. But he said, he's got a bit of work on as well in his daily life, and a bit of Sebring work to do before this weekend as well. Special event, of course, on our racing coming up. So that's why he is not here. David Walters has said that he won't be making it tonight. Neither will Paul Crabb, who won't be able to get back in time, unfortunately. And Seth Brown is away for the next 2 races. So we'll be missing him from Road Atlanta in 1 week's time as well. Let's take a look at those guys who were there 1 week ago. It was 20 drivers on the grid for that race. It was James Barry who managed to take the feature race win that day. It eventually gave him the same amount of points as Luke Maxwell, as Maxwell won the first race and finished second in that second one. Barry third and a first, got in the same amount of points, because a win in the feature race is worth more. John McCutcheon is third in the standings, ahead of Paul Crabb and Paul LeMay. Then George Gonzaga with 40 points. Damien G, 7th, just 1 point ahead of Paul Clark. There's another point to Michael LeMay, another one to James Ritchie, David Walters and Mike Booston. That brings you to the top 12. Seth Brown is 13th and is only going to tumble from that position over the next couple of weeks. David Royston and Robert Woodward are tied on 22 points. David Beasley and Stuart Geddes tied on 21. Phil Justin in 18th place on 19. Graham Brown and Alan Patterson on 2 and 1 points respectively. To be honest with you, I've got no idea how they've managed that. That seems to have been from the first race that they got points there, although I don't know why, because I remember Graham Brown starting the race, but I don't personally remember seeing out on the grid Alan Patterson at any point. So I'm not sure why he was given 1 point for his sprint race contribution there, when I don't believe he took to the circuit.
No, I don't remember him making an outing, but maybe I don't know. I can't answer that question, mate, to be blatantly honest with you. So there we go. Phil, I hope them sound issues have been sorted out now as well. We've had some lovely, wonderful technical issues with OBS all week, and it's been driving me absolutely insane. So yeah, I've been trying to get it all sorted out and had to completely do a fresh reinstall of everything. So that was nice for me this week. But overall, we're into quali. We've got the guys out on track. They're going to hopefully enjoy themselves. Will it be close racing, do we think?
I'm not really sure, to be honest. It's been a long time since it's been here. As I mentioned last week, I think the last time we were here was during one of those endurance events where we used to split the format between two different types. This one, the sprint and feature, and the endurance formats, which was effectively a sprint and a feature race sort of put together, if you like. And so I think we were racing for 30 laps that day, maybe longer, in that endurance format that we used to run. We don't do that anymore. It's only sprint and feature racing. So I think it's hard to tell at a circuit where we've actually not done this format before and not done any reverse grid racing before.
No, we haven't. But I think it's really tough because I know this is on the official calendar and I know it got voted in and the community voted in as well, and hopefully these guys will make the best of a bad situation. Now clearly everyone's going to score points, right? And as long as they finish, of course, within the race, they're going to score points, so it should be fine. But I think it could be a might boost on Luke Maxwell, James Barry effort to fight it out at the front. We've got a couple of new people in here as well. Abdul Al-Amri is on the grid, and also Joseph Emmett. We can't really miss Joseph. He's in a very bright liveried machine there.
He is, and I don't know why, but he's got numbers all over his car. Not just the race number he's been actually given, 29 or 28 or 26, sorry, which is actually what he's given, but all sorts of numbers. I don't know why, but we're going to be able to pick him out very easily, which is good. James Barry is continuing his good start to the season. Fastest lap from him so far in the day. First position, 17.4 the opening time, although we're still very early on in this session and there's still a very long way to go.
Yeah, there is, and we know they get quicker as the laps go on, so we reckon sort of by about lap 2, lap 3, we're possibly going to see the maximum, and then we might see a little bit of tyre drop off after. I don't think this track is too heavy on tyres. I can't remember if it was becoming a real issue, but it clearly for James Barry is not becoming an issue. He's got 3 purples on the board. Is he going to make it past the 4th one and go over the line, which is again at the top of the start-finish straight, and he goes higher on a 1:16.7, Buson on a 1:17, Maxwell on a 1:17.1, Buson on a 1:17.4, 17.8 for Clark. So at the moment, James Barry's smashing it.
He is, and sort of maintaining the gap that he's got to the rest of the field in terms of, I mentioned earlier on that the first lap's never going to be a pole lap, but it's a good sign for Barry to be first at the end of it, because if you can sort of maintain that gap, then it does show some good speed. Only 5 drivers have actually been able to get a time on the board so far. Robert Woodward, another driver who's just been able to set one there. He goes up inside the top 5. George Gonzaga goes over the line 3rd place as well. So looks like some people are starting to get to grips with this circuit now and starting to put some lap times in a session where people have struggled so far. We're only just over halfway through, and only just over half the drivers in the field have actually set times now.
Yeah, Luke Maxwell's got a green and a purple on the board, so he's aiming to go faster. Another purple sector. I'm not sure how Luke and James have got the same purple in sector 2, but I think that's because they were literally about 100th away from each other, so I think this picks up that both of them were literally a dead heat. Luke's come over the line. Is he going to break into the 16s? He is, and he goes 1:16.6. Still Barry on that 1:16.61 is quicker than the 16.63 from Maxwell, but 200ths of a second separating the top 2.
Yeah, absolutely. So there is Luke Maxwell making his way down through turn 3. It's a wonderfully sweeping right-hander, I've got to say. Downhill, high speed and high load on the left-hand side tyres as well. But not particularly great for overtaking. We'll see whether that becomes true or not, though, because turn 1 and 2 does provide some opportunity for gaining or losing time. George Gonzaga goes quicker again as well. He's into the 116s now. Maxwell very close to James Barry, and they're both going quickly now. Well, Barry is struggling now on this lap, I've got to say. Maxwell going quicker with a purple sector in the second, but Mike Bouson's got one too, and he's got another personal best in the third to go with it, so we could see some new times on the board here. Let's see if James Barry is going to set one of them. I think the answer to that is going to be no, but it's pretty close, and he does actually go quicker there, very slightly, but he does. Now what about Luke Maxwell? Does he go a little bit quicker? Certainly does. Now he'll go to the top. Bouson up to third. That's a good time from him as well. We've now got 4 drivers in the 16s. This is a good sign for the race in such a tight session.
Yeah, but Richie's just gone 17.3. Clark 17.3 as well. Al Amri is 17.5. Woodward 17.8. And Damien G on 118.6. So, yeah, some great fighting going on. Maxwell and Barry not very far apart whatsoever, as we've got the last 2 minutes left of qualifying.
Yeah, really not very long at all. James Barry again now maybe responding. He was able to in that first in that most recent lap. He did respond quite nicely. 46 hundredths of a second is his deficit, but I can bet that he's already made that up in the first 2 sectors. He's gone purple there, another personal best too, and we're getting towards last lap chance, by the way. Now with just over 2 minutes to go, this will be the lap that they're just starting now will be the last chance. Maxwell knows that. He's going slower on this one, so we'll pull wide for a new lap time, but it's going to have to be a response because James Barry goes quicker again. Another purple lap time, 16.4 from him, puts him on provisional pole for now. Luke Maxwell with 1 lap to respond.
Yeah, can Luke do it in the final flurry, so we say? He's going to get it done. It's going to be, I don't doubt he's going to give it a good old go, but it's whether or not he's going to be able to do it here. We're going to wait for the first sector time on the board. He's gone purple, Ewan. He's gone purple. Could this be Luke Maxwell's lap to set that fastest time?
It's going to have to be something special. And what a special qualifying session we're seeing here. James Barry is not responding in the way that he really needs to. Maxwell doesn't have a lot of time to find. Only just over a tenth between first and second. So Luke Maxwell will have to find that time. Difficult to do that around a circuit of just at this length. 14 turns around here, but that doesn't tell the whole story because about a third of them come in the short swoop between turn 3 and the exit of turn 9 through the middle sector of this lap. Maxwell not going any quicker in the second or third sectors here. James Barry won't improve, I don't think, at the end, despite a purple final sector. No, he has set the time, and all he can do, it's Luke Maxwell over the line now, keeps it close to the left-hand side. He knows it's his last chance. He goes over the line, but no.
Nope.
He's not quick enough, can't even improve on his own lap, and he will be second. Yeah,
he will be second there as well. In 7th is Al Amri. Comes over the line on that 1:17.8 now. So Al Amri in 7th place there. No time on the board from Alan Patterson, but we don't seem to think that he will take to the grid.
No, he doesn't often do so. So we'll find out, of course, but he, as I said, he doesn't often actually take part in these races, which is a shame, but he does often join us for qualifying. So don't know what that is all about from him, but anyway, he does. That's what he does, and so we'll see what his job is this time around. The grid will be coming up very shortly, as we have the first race of the day about to begin. And James Barry's lap there in qualifying was enough for the pole position. Luke Maxwell in second position, line up on the front row together. Mike Bousson and George Gonzaga will be on the second row. James Ritchie and Paul Clark behind them. A new driver, Al Amarian, will be in 7th place. Then it's Robert Woodward in 8th with Joseph Emmett alongside Damien G. Emmett, a new driver as well, with Alan Patterson, as we said, maybe not starting this race. Good to have 2 new drivers on the grid here tonight.
Yeah, it just means it's growing, doesn't it? And then when we get back to normal, or relatively normal next week, when we get everybody back, I'm sure that we'll be able to fulfill and have a fuller grid than we've probably had for a while here. But we're getting drivers in, and that's the important thing, I think, for any league to survive, is just to make sure that drivers are coming in, and these guys seem to be coming in, so hopefully we'll have a good one next week.
Yeah, hopefully so. When we visit Road Atlanta, everyone likes a bit of Road Atlanta actually, so I'm willing to say that it will be. Lights about to come on then. It's time to go racing at the Rudskogen Motor Centre. Round 2 of the Radical Race Series about to get underway, and we are green for the 11-lap sprint race here tonight. It's James Barry who gets off to a good start, and he wins the race down towards turn 1, with Luke Maxwell cutting in 2nd position, Boosson 3rd. Then it's George Gonzaga who's in 4th position. James McRitchie rounds out the top 5. A clean start from all 10 who get away well, and James Barry will be the leader after a good getaway on the front straight.
Yeah, Barry making a start. He knew he had to. It's now Maxwell chasing him down here with Mike Bousson in 3rd, Gonzaga in 4th, and then James McRitchie and Abdul Al-Amri in 6th. Paul Clark down in 7th. He's the only man on the grid that's lost a place, and I think Joseph Emmett is the final one on the racetrack in 10th currently. So it's going to be an interesting one here, and James Barry doing a great job.
Up the hill they go, out of the hairpin down at turn 10. It's the plunge uphill and under the bridge, now towards turn 12, as they count 11, that short bend in the straight, whatever. Nice right-angled turn. Bit of runoff on the exit there, and then a bit of runoff here too at the final corner when you get yourself out onto the front straight all over again. Pretty fast racetrack on the north, but only 11 laps around here, and James Barry will lead the first of them over the line here. What a great start for him in the championship. He and the opening round of the season, anything over 50 points is really quite respectable. Series 3 drivers were able to do that at Laguna Seca 1 week ago, and so far it's all about Barry and Maxwell again here, with no John McCutcheon to challenge them. Looks like it might just be between these two for the race wins here today. We'll wait and see on that, of course. There's just over half a second between them. They're gapping Mike Bousson there in 3rd place. George Gonzaga is struggling to hold on to that position. James McRitchie trying to hang on there too. It's Abdul Almri, who is in 6th position, just trying to hang on to the back of James McRitchie. Then there's a bit of a gap back to Paul Clark and Damien G. The one advantage we do have here tonight of having 10 drivers is that everybody knows they will be in the reverse grid, of course. Top 10 normally reversed. Instead today, it's going to be the whole field.
Yeah, it definitely will be, and I think they're going to be doing, a job that they know they can manage to hold on to. I think that's the thing. With such a short grid, you've just got to keep it on track. We've said it before, we've said it earlier on as well. They've just got to make sure that they're keeping it on track to finish. Robert Woodward and Joseph Emmett are having a battle at the back end of the field. We've got James Ritchie and Al-Amri fighting out in the middle part of the field, and James Barry, Luke Maxwell, Mike Bousson and Gonzaga slowly escaping up front. It looks like Robert Woodward has unfortunately had one of those moments that I'm sure he's probably not going to want to keep living again.
Well, let's see if it was involving another driver or not here. Look down the inside in towards turn number 1. Does he? No, he does it on his own. Well, he may have been distracted and slightly offline by the driver in front, but Joseph Emmett has no case to answer there, in my opinion. He didn't do anything wrong at all. It was Robert Woodward who went off the road. And actually, Robert's not been having a great start to the season, I've got to say. The stewards' decisions are, of course, in from the first round of the season, and 5 different incidents have resulted in penalties. 2 for Stuart Geddes, who overall has 5 championship points deducted in the day, and some licence points as well, of course. 2 licence points for the day. David Beasley has 3 licence points and 5 championship points deducted for forcing someone else off the road. Seth Brown, who won't be here for a couple of weeks, has the same for moving under braking, and Robert Woodward, in the most eagerly contested of the stewards' decisions, gets 1 licence point and 3 championship points deducted for forcing another driver off the circuit. I think that was for the incident we may have saw on the last lap or close to the last lap through the penultimate corner. I don't know if you remember it, but it was Robert Woodward, I think, easing someone, I can't remember who, off the road into the sand, allowing someone to step into the void and take them both towards the end of that race. I think we said at the time that may well be a penalty, and unfortunately it was for Woodward, although the lightest of the penalties. So that's 4 drivers with penalty points, all of them with 5 deducted, other than Woodward, who got just the 3, but busy for the stewards after that opening round.
Yeah, it was quite an interesting one, wasn't it, for them? And I think that they've had to go through quite a lot of reviews to have a look at, and they've done a stellar job. They have been doing rather well across the season, and for me, they've done a great job. It's been fair stewarding, everything's been the same, but hopefully it should be all good.
Yep, back up to the battle for 5th place as James McRitchie tries to hang on ahead of Abdulakir Al-Amri out of the final corner now. Very close, by the way, in the top 6 or so. I know that the gaps aren't exactly battle-worthy for the moment, but they are close, which is a good thing. Another fastest lap there from James Barry, as that was James McRitchie off the road. He has handed a gift there to Al-Amri, who will step into that void and go straight through. That was on a plate for him, really. James McRitchie getting turn 1 and 2 all wrong.
Yeah, that's the thing. The problem is as well, while you're so close together with somebody, having that problem and making that mistake, you're going to allow them to go through, and that unfortunately is what it is. And now for McRitchie, he's got Damien G behind him, as he's got Clark in front, and neither of these look like it's got some great pace here this evening, but it looks like Barry and Maxwell are going to be the ones up the front.
It does. They've got more than a second over the rest of the field, for example. McRitchie's still struggling here, and it's Damien G who will be next in line. Paul Clark got through into 6th position a few moments ago, by the way. I think McRitchie had to give up a bit of time for a slowdown, even though he didn't actually gain any time by going wide at turn 1. He could have done, and iRacing has given him a slowdown as a result. So there we go. It's James McRitchie 7th place now. It could be 8th very soon. Luke Maxwell with the fastest lap time of the race so far, and McRitchie hands that one over too. Well, I'm not sure what's happening now to James McRitchie, but Damien G, the latest to go through, with no contest there.
It looked like he had another slowdown, and that's the thing, unfortunately, for McRitchie coming out of the last corner. I'm not entirely sure if he would have done it out the last corner or the corner before, the long be turn 13, the quick snap left-hander, before they go round the what is almost carousel-esque out of Road America for turn 14, and I think maybe he got a little bit of a slowdown there.
Maybe. So gaps all above a second, apart from this one. The battle for the lead between James Barry and Luke Maxwell. Now, we always speak at this circuit, well, say always, we've only been here twice, but you get the idea. Always speak about the fact that it is difficult to overtake around here. Now, we are going to have a full reverse grid, of course. Even with Robert Woodward out, I think he is still going to be included in the reverse grid, unless he doesn't take part, I suppose, and then we'll have only top 9. But nevertheless, it will be a full reverse grid no matter what's it, as James McRitchie seems to be out of the race now too, and back to the pit lane. Not sure what issues he's had. Makes you wonder a little bit, with all of this going on, how easy or difficult it will be for James Barry and Luke Maxwell to work their way through the field in the second race.
Well, I'm thinking because of the pace difference that these guys have got, I'm wondering, oh, there goes McRitchie, unfortunately. I love Martina's comment in YouTube chat. Mix up the tracks, they said. It'll be fun, they said. Yeah, right. I agree. I don't know. I
mean, yeah, but as far as I am aware, James McRitchie might be done for the night, by the way. He says that it's not his favourite either. I wonder, though, because it was my understanding that people voted for this, like in the community, not just us, but all the radical community, everyone who races this car week in, week out, vote for this in the iRacing schedule. Is that not correct? So surely some people must want this.
Basically, the way I've worked with working closely with the community manager at the Clios is basically they list the tracks that they think the car will be good on, and from that moment, everybody then votes, and they take the top 10 or top 12 or top 15. Then they pick the free tracks that people have voted for, and then they pick so they'll have 8 tracks, for instance, and then the other 4 would be out the remaining vote, regardless if they're paid or free. So that's what I'm gathering is the situation.
Okay, well, are we sure that works the same for every community? Because I feel like it may be different around. Because, for example, the NASCAR schedule, I know this is oval racing and we're doing road racing, which is very different, but that basically follows the real life schedule. So I'd imagine it might be different between different communities, but I think Clio's and here might be quite similar in the way that it works, to be honest, and the way that it's voted for. But I don't know. Maybe this is just included because it's a free track and for no other reason. But I don't see many other free tracks if that is the case. I mean, are there any more?
I'm not entirely sure, to be fair. I think looking at what would be the official series, I start trying to scroll through to find the official series. I'd like to point out as well, going back to your NASCARs, I unfortunately have to drive trucks around COTA this week. So, yeah, not an easy thing to do, as I've tried some practice sessions. At the moment, my back end of the truck just seems to want to come around regardless if I touch the throttle or not. Scheduled this season, we've got Road Atlanta, of course, Watkins, Imola, Bathurst, Interlagos, Canadian Tire, Barber, Sebring, Nürburgring, Nordschleife, Road America. So no, to be fair, there aren't many tracks within that schedule that are free.
Yeah, I don't know, but there we are. Maybe people have voted for this, but it doesn't seem likely at the moment. Only a couple of laps to go of the sprint race. Al Amri is really trying to get through on George Gonzaga, and of the 2 debutants, Abdulkir Al Amri is doing the best of them by quite some way. Joseph Emmett is at the back of the field in 8th place on his own. Al Amri is looking forward and looking strong, I've got to say. You can see Mike Booson just around the corner there, and that podium place is not too far away either.
Yeah, Son's doing a good job, isn't he? Mike's being Mike. He's here. He's a trooper. He's trooping on. He's in his little bit of no man's land. He's got a bit of time to the guys behind. He's got a bit of time to the guys in front. And of course, unless he makes some drastic mistake, then he'll be in trouble. But generally, I think we might be all right, and Mike should get the top 3. Gonzaga and Al Amri, well, I think they're going to continue fighting as it's gone out to nearly the second now, mind you, as Al Amri looked like he got turn 1 all a little bit Pete Tong there, unfortunately. But currently, at the moment, Maxwell and Barry not gained, not lost, and Luke couldn't really get close enough.
Well, this is the problem as well, when you have the start the way that you had it. So Barry was able to get away very well, and Maxwell followed him into turn 1. That's all fine, but there's already sort of a set gap there. And if you look at the qualifying times between them, they were awfully close throughout the entire session, not indeed just at the end, not just at the start, but the entirety of the way through. And so what that suggests to me is that they're doing a very similar pace right now in the race 2. Their race pace seems very similar, and if Luke Maxwell can only gain at maximum half a tenth a lap, where is he going to be able to action a difference over any circuit? It's not just a Rudskogen problem, in my opinion. It's a problem with any circuit. If you are gaining so little on the driver in front and you're so well matched with them, I don't see where he's going to open opportunity for himself. Look at those lap times there. He gained 0.003 of a second. How is that going to help him? He needs to gain about 0.3 of a second, but that's just so difficult to do when you're so well matched with the driver in front.
Yeah, that's it. Can't gain, can't lose. You kind of just got to sit there and see if James makes a mistake, right? We know this is the situation. Clearly can't get through. Clearly they're close. 1:16.92, 1:16.91 last time out. So you're talking hundreds of seconds, and you're right, it's not going to help him them hundreds of seconds. He needs to be pulling 3 temps out, 4 temps out to even think about making it.
Yep, and at the moment he's not been able to do that. Just try and stay ahead of him through the feature race, and of course he can still gain points on the day without too much difficulty by finishing ahead of Barry, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to do in this sprint race. He's been kept at arm's length throughout and it looks like it's going to be a second win of the season, but a first sprint race win of Season 2 in 2024 to James Barry here at the Rudskogen Motor Centre. 11 laps, all led by him. Luke Maxwell follows him home. Again, so close in terms of lap times. A 10th gained by Maxwell on that occasion, but it wasn't enough, and James Barry takes his second win of the season.
There you go. It was job done on it. Led from start to finish. Amri up 2. Paul Clark is in the same place where he started in 6th. G got 2. Emmett got 2. Of course, we lost McRitchie and Woodward, and I'm very doubtful whether or not either them guys are going to come back for race 2. As James McRitchie has stated, it's not his favourite circuit.
Yeah, he has, and he's finished down at the back. Meanwhile, let's have a look at the results from that opening race of the night. It's the sprint race, of course, for 11 laps. James Barry, the winner in the end. The gap, 3.5 tenths to Luke Maxwell, but still wasn't close enough to make a move. Just under 6 seconds back was Mike Bousson, who finished with the podium. Judge Gonzaga finished just ahead of Abdul Al Amri, who just under a second off of 4th position, not too far away from a podium on debut. Paul Clark finishes 6th ahead of Damien G and Joseph Emmett inside the lead lap. James Ritchie 5 laps down. Robert Woodward 7 down. Adam Patterson not starting the race again. Robert Woodward saying that 30 minutes of practice that he done clearly wasn't enough. He said that the track's fun but just unpopular because people don't know it. That's a possible theory, to be fair. You don't see it very often, so you don't drive it very often, so people aren't very good at it, so they don't like it very much. I guess that's a good theory.
Maybe. I don't know. It's just a track that's... when it was released, people were kind of like, why? Like, why haven't we got Croft or why haven't we got Thruxton or Croft circuits or circuits that people know? Nobody had a clue where this circuit was from. And if you Wikipedia it, it's probably the circuit with the lowest amount of history of racing I've ever seen. It's literally about half a page long on Wiki. Well, it was the last time I looked. I don't suspect it to have grown, but nobody knew it. Nobody had a clue. And I don't think people still want to know it or want to have a clue about it. I'd rather Thruxton. Give me Thruxton all day.
Well, that's just we're British, so I'm not willing to say that everyone will think the same as that, to be fair. I don't mind an unknown circuit getting added, I can't lie. I do like the idea of a new circuit, but you're right, it's regional racing very much that takes part here. Stuff like Porsche Cup Scandinavia, GT4 Scandinavia, TCR Denmark. This is not in Denmark, by the way, but they take a trip over to Norway, clearly, for this championship. It's hosted Swedish touring cars and Norwegian touring car championship stuff before, as well as Danish F4. So lots of different racing goes on here, or did go on here, but mostly regional. So I guess that people outside of Scandinavia may well not have heard of it. It's time for the feature race, though. 19 laps here at the Rudskogen Motor Centre, and it should be, Robert Woodward starting from the front. What he just said in the Discord suggests to me that he won't be taking the start here. I hope he does, but I'm not entirely confident that he will. Although I thought the same about James McRitchie, who said, well, this circuit is not my favourite, and so... but he's here now anyway. He will be first off the line because Robert Woodward will be absent. The lights will come on for the second race in Norway, and we are underway. James McRitchie trying to hold on from the front with debutant Joseph Emmett getting a rocket start off the front row. He was second going in towards turn number 1. He's got the inside line though, backs out of it, and James McRitchie will take the lead. Al Amri goes round the outside pretty well, already into second place. Has he got a chance of win on debut? Paul Clark goes up the inside of Emmett to get into third place already, as Bousson and Maxwell are looking for places too. There goes Bousson into fourth place. Maxwell will soon be in fifth. He's made a good start there from the back of the field.
Yeah, he has. He's gained 3 places. Emmett got a rocket start and then seemed very tentative about it, and unfortunately lost a lot of places in the meantime being tentative. I think if he just got the ball by the horns, James Barry.
Oh, wow. Big moment. James Barry, race 1 winner, off the road, and James McRitchie is too. So what has gone on here for these two? Barry was down the inside there. I think of Joseph Emmett, who maybe didn't realise he was down his inside there, and so James Bird gets... James Bird? He's not even here. James Barry, doing me, these names. It goes to the inside line. Now Joseph Emmett's off the road, I'm afraid. Back to 9th place for him, unfortunately, as Barry tries to recover. James Ritchie also went off the road, but this is what happened to Emmett. That's George Gonzaga going through. Now, was he maybe involved in this on the way down towards turn 12? Here they go into the left-hander, and Emmett goes for that spin. Now down to the back of the field.
Yeah, he brake dragged coming in too much. He wasn't off the brake early enough to allow the car to naturally take its balance and its downforce into the corner, and unfortunately when you're holding it and turning, you're going to end up going round, and that's exactly what happened here. Martino has told us Abdul, also known as Sim Gamer Nerd on Twitch, is a radical veteran. See him make an appearance.
No, I didn't know that either. That's good to see, and he's got a good chance of a debut win here. Not sure if it's an overall debut, but it's certainly a season debut, and hasn't been here for a very long time, if ever. Nearly 2 seconds of a lead. Paul Clark's going to be difficult to get past, of course. Mike Bouson's going to have to work his way through that one. Then it will be Maxwell as well, and they're going to have to do it fairly quickly as well, because Al Amory's going to take some catching at the front.
Yeah, he will, and the problem is it's that variation of what we spoke about with Barry and Maxwell in the last one. When they're doing very similar times, it's very difficult to catch, right? You see Al-Amri's still pulling away. He is still quicker, mind you, but everybody else on 18.4, 18.3, 18.1, 18.1, and in the 18s till we get down to Damien G. But they've got to up the pace a little bit, but this fighting is not going to help them. But Luke Maxwell's got a great opportunity as James Barry's 2 places below.
Yep, trying to get back again to Maxwell, who he was tied on points with at the end of the first race. That's a bit wide from Bouson. Uses a bit of the tarmac on the left-hand side there, but couldn't get back down the inside there, could Maxwell? Now maybe can he? No. Goes very wide now through the left-handed hairpin at turn 8. Bit of undulation there as they'll go downhill towards turn 10 now. This is a big braking zone as a result, despite the relatively low speeds. The gravity just not helping you, and needing the traction as well, because it's an uphill plunge towards another bridge over the racetrack and in towards turn 12 as well. They're not very long straight, and then you find yourself into the final couple of corners. Kind of reminds you of the Shanghai International Circuit in the way that it dips to the left initially and then sort of snails back around through to the right, back out onto the front straight all over again. And Clark doing a good job of defending here, and Abdul Al-Amri will hope that this continues on. 3 laps now completed. The laps ticking off now for Bousson and Maxo to catch him and try and win this race.
Yeah, Barry set the fastest lap on a 1:17.099. I think the section coming out of turn 4 here, where they're coming up now, is, if you look at the track map of Tsukuba and then put turn 1 right the way through to about turn 5, that's very Tsukuba-esque as they're coming through the wiggles, you know, and then go through. Now they're coming almost, if you look at it in that kind of thing, up to the hairpin. They're going to go all the way back round themselves, back off they go again, down to the next hairpin. So that's the way I look at it on this race circuit. I'm sure there's probably more to it than that, but it's just not popular, and Phil has summed it up. I hope they'll come back here again. Not an enjoyable track. There's Phil across the pond who has never driven on the track, probably.
Exactly. So scathing.
I know. Phil. It would be only if it was in a radical area, wouldn't it? But,
well, there we go. Maxwell gets down the inside of Mike Bousson, by the way. Good exit off of turn 10 from him. He gets down the inside at turn 12. Don't think Bousson tried to hold him back particularly from that one. Didn't even defend the inside before the left-hander.
Yeah, no, I think there's points to defend, and there's pointless defensives, you know what I mean? And if he's not going to catch him, or he knows he's not on the pace, then let him go. Paul Clark, on the other end, I don't think Paul has ever admitted he's ever beaten once on the racetrack, so he's going to defend for his life, which he has done over the first 5 laps.
Yep, has done so far, which has been good to see. And he's going to continue to do that as well. George Gonzaga's cut them also. James Parry will be relatively pleased about this one, because it stacks up the drivers that he wants to overtake right up in front of him all over again. That's Clark wide. Can Maxwell now find his way through? It's going to mean a better exit on the way down towards turn 10 here, and so maybe the chance to actually overtake for Maxwell will be almost zero, but he will start to work his magic. He's been the only one able to make an overtake really here in open play, and so he's going to have to do that very shortly here for second as well. Abdul Al-Amri is really romping away with this race now, nearly 4 seconds, and could he be the first driver to win on debut since James Ritchie managed it a couple of seasons ago? Remember when he joined us for that race at Spa, a very difficult circuit to defend on. He was able to win that race in a great show of defending on that particular occasion. Well, Abdul Al-Amri might be able to do the same thing here at Rudskogen with almost a quarter, well, in fact over a quarter of this race now complete.
Yeah, lap 6 of 19. I don't think Ritchie's gap was that big at Spa, though.
May have been. Can't remember.
I can't remember that far back, to be honest. But Al-Amri's just kind of bolted off, up 5 places at the start, and said, "Thank you very much. See you later. I'm on my bike, son." As see Luke Maxwell, that close, basically, as they're coming round 7 and 8 on their run through turn 9 before they get down into the technically a hairpin at 10. So I think Al-Amri's done a great job. Maxwell is got to find a way past Clark. Clark has just gone in deep there, and that is going to allow Maxwell to come through.
What a fantastic overtake there from Maxwell. The presence of, I know there was a mistake from Clark, but the presence of mind there to go in deep, take a tighter exit, late apex, and the exit off of turn 10 was more than enough. He gets up to second place, does Luke Maxwell, and Paul Clark is down to third. Now, can Boosson pounce on this? Because as soon as somebody goes through on a track like this, what you want to do is pounce immediately and sort of take the opportunity straight away as well. Can Boosson do that? Well, it doesn't look like he has, and with every corner that goes past, the sort of unsettledness of Paul Clark goes away, and so the chance for Boosson to take an easy step through diminishes as well. He's sort of going to have to work out his own opportunity now.
But the question is, we've got 12 laps to go. Is Maxwell going to catch Al-Amri? With Al-Amri doing 17.1s, Maxwell last time out doing a 17.5, but that of course involved passing Paul Clark. Is he going to be able to now get close to him, do we think, considering Maxwell did have the pace on Al-Amri in race 1? As we can see, Mike Bousson, who's deciding that enough is enough. He wants to get as close as he can to Clark, but the difference is, unless Clark makes a mistake like he did last time, Bousson's not getting through.
Not with great difficulty. Oh, and Barry's gone through on George Gonzaga, so he's actioned out a chance out of seemingly nothing, just behind this camera shot down in towards turn 10, which just seemed the place to be in terms of overtaking, and James Barry has worked his way through. I think already chances, and maybe he will have realised this after the first couple of corners, chances of passing Luke Maxwell have gone away very quickly in this race. There goes Mike Bousson, wide through the final corner. Barry makes 2 overtakes in 1 lap.
Yeah, he does, and clearly got some pace at this circuit where others are struggling. He's clearly got a setup that works for him, and at the moment it's a great setup. He's doing an absolutely stellar job. Now he's got a Claus, the man they call super wide in the community, because he does and can be one of the most, if not the most difficult driver to overtake.
Yeah, it's not a joke about his weight. It's just it's just true how he drives about on the racetrack, and he hasn't earned that nickname for no reason. Just ask John McCutcheon about that. There's been some run-ins between those two down the years, down the seasons as well. I don't think they actually hate each other, but there we go. George Gonzaga will now try and... James Barry, who we're riding on board with right now. His teammate will get down the inside of Paul Clark, and that's turn 10 again. What's proving to be the best overtaking opportunity on the track, surprisingly.
Yeah, the Clark's not looking comfortable for the middle section. I think that's where he's lost to Luke and to James now. Luke is not looking overly happy further up either, because Barry looks like he's going to be taking time out of him coming over this next lap. I think if anybody's got a chance to overtake Al-Amri or catch Al-Amri over the next 10 laps, it could be James Barry. He's showing pace.
Yep, certainly is. Barry now a second away already from Clark. Can he catch Maxwell here? Is that going to be the battle in this race? For second again, as the roles get reversed. It was Barry leading Maxwell around last time around. Well, it's the other way round this time, and if things were to stay as they are, Maxwell would gain a whopping single point over James Barry in what's been a very even start of the season for these two.
Yeah, they have. They've obviously matched each other on points from race 1 and race 2 last week as well, and they're near enough going to match each other again, bar a point maybe, I think, if I can work it out correctly. Yeah. So I don't really feel that there's a lot, but then again, we're only on race 2, we're on round 2, and I'm not worried about season standards. I think by the time we get to sort of mid-pack 5, maybe 6, we might sort of think, ooh, maybe, but not worried about it this early on.
No, not at all. Especially since John McCutcheon, the fact that he's not here tonight won't matter in the standings because it's too early in the season. The fact that Simon Edwards hasn't been here yet either as well. But I think we're in for a good season. I mean, it's been championship fight on the final race year after year in this series now. It's been thoroughly enjoyable over and over again. We got 3 out of 4, was it, last year in 2023. Only 1 title was decided before the final race. And so it's been wonderful to watch, and it looks like it may well be again. Clark under the pressure again now from Mike Booson, who's really struggled to find his way through, and I thought he was going to down there towards turn 3 and 4. Clearly he's had to back out of that one because he is still in the wheel tracks of Paul Clark, now down in 4th place.
Yeah, Paul's making it difficult. I don't know, you see, if Bouson's got that killer send it instinct like Maxwell and Barry have just done on Paul, and that's kind of what you've got to do with Paul. You've got to be a little bit rough with him. You can't sort of body cuddle him. You're not just gonna, oh please can I go through, Paul. You've got to make your way. You've got to be like, right, I am coming, and I just don't know if Booson, maybe Gonzaga as well, have quite got that. Do you get what I mean? Or did you just sit there and think, James, what you want about?
Well, I don't know. I think it's difficult, but I think part of it comes down to speed, to be honest. As Booson now finds his way down the inside of Clark into turn 1, and Gonzaga won't follow through just for the moment. I think partly it is down to speed, to be honest, because the way that Maxwell and Barry were able to go through does look very decisive, and it looks very impressive and authoritative and confident as well on their part, but I don't actually think that is necessarily all the case. I think it's partly the realities that everybody realises here. I think they realise that the top 2, I think undisputedly in this field, are in this set of 9 drivers anyway, is Luke Maxwell and James Barry, and so when you see them coming up behind, you're disincentivised to try and keep them behind anyway because you know how speedy they are, but also they're coming up to you at such a rate that even if you were to try and defend, it's difficult to do so anyway. So I think there's a bit of both in that. I think maybe they are a little bit more confident and authoritative in the moves that they make, but the defending drivers also have a part to play in that, and that they realise that it's going to be harder to keep Luke Maxwell and James Barry behind compared to Mike Booson and George Gonzaga, which Paul Clark has had more success in keeping behind him.
They had 1 man at East. That's 69.69. That is from Luke Maxwell over Alan Amory, pulled nearly 1 point, what's that, 7, 8, 9, nearly a second and a bit out over the last 3 laps. Could Alan Amory be in trouble by the end of this 7 left?
Well, you say that. Let's average that out at 1/3 of a second a lap, because that's roughly what it is and has been for the last 3 laps. There's 8 laps to go, including this one. That would be 2.4 seconds gained. Now, that's not enough. Maxwell wouldn't be close enough on the last lap to do something about Abdul Al-Amri. So at the moment, he needs to increase that rate of closing from 0.3 of a second, probably to 1/2 a second. If he wants to be there by the end, 1/2 a second would mean it takes 6 laps and give him 2 laps to get through on the race leader.
It's not impossible considering the pace that Maxwell had. So I wouldn't put it past him, and they're catching Al-Amri at a rate now. They're now down below, coming almost down below 3 seconds. So I think Al-Amri's either sitting there thinking, oh my God, they're free and the Lions are coming, or just taking it easy for 6 laps. I'm not entirely sure which way round it's going to be, but I can tell you one thing, for Gonzaga, he's got to make the move now, or as the terminology goes, it's going to be all or nothing. Still doesn't make it through again. for George Gonzaga.
Yeah, difficult. I think his line through turn 1 and 2 was a bit better there. Maybe a tighter exit off of here will give him the inside at 3. Will Clark defend? Not really. Gonzaga's got some room down the inside there if he wants it, and he does. Down the inside he'll go. It's side by side, and round the outside will go Clark, but it's a long way round at turn 3 and 4, and George Gonzaga does get his way through. So clearly, once you have worked your way through turn 1 well and 2, and you get your exit right, you can get yourself down the inside for 3 and 4 again. Gonzaga showing that it is possible to overtake down there at that long right-hander.
Yeah, but you see how deep he had to go to force Clark off the line. He had to go so deep and opening up. They were miles away from the inside of turn 1, from turn 3 and 4, sorry. And George had to literally push Paul out, and Paul was just kept going and going and going. Eventually out to the curbing on the outside, he was that far out. So good move from George, but he had to work hard for it there.
Yep, that certainly did, and now he's finally got his way. James Barry is getting closer now, and a purple lap there. Purple. That's not really the phrase, is it? Fastest lap is the phrase that I was looking for there at the end of lap 13. And now he's close to Maxwell. As I said earlier, this is the roles reversed from race 1, where Barry was ahead of Maxwell and defended, easily in the end. He was barely challenged over the course of the 11 laps, which he have now crossed in this feature race 2. They're 3 seconds off Al Amri, but I don't think that gap's going to come down. I think we could see a debut race winner here. I think what's going to be more interesting is whether Maxwell can keep Barry behind him.
But if that speed is as similar as what we think they had in race 1, I don't know if Barry's going to be able to get through. I think Luke is so tidy. If he makes one mistake, he's having a bad day. You know, he's the Iceman. He doesn't really make errors as such that are not always his fault. And yes, he has crashed before anybody jumps on me. I know that. There's not generally a lot of forced errors from Luke, and it's going to be hard for Barry.
It is. We know that difficulties around this circuit of overtaking, especially when the driver in front of you is so refined in their driving, so few mistakes from Luke Maxwell over the course of the day, that it's going to be very difficult to work his way through. 5 laps to go, including the one we're on at the moment. I've got to say, I've relatively enjoyed this race, to be honest. The reverse grid race has provided the entertainment here at Rudskogen. It's given us what might well be a supposed surprise winner. I say supposed because he might contest that, Abdul Al Amri, but he is on debut, of course. No stranger to the Radicals, but that doesn't make this any less impressive. Among a new set of drivers in a new format, dealt with it well, got through the opening couple of corners well, got to the lead pretty quickly, and has run away with it since.
But he's 2.5 now. Down half a second since I was checked in laps ago. Then he got 4 to go. He should be able to hang on for the 4, right? Should be able to, shouldn't he?
Yeah, it's going to need to be about 3/4 of a second a lap, to be honest, for Maxwell to even have 1 lap of trying to overtake, so I just don't think he's going to get there in time. A personal best there from Maxwell. He is starting to gain at half a second a lap, and if he'd have done that since he got into second place, he would be almost there by now, but he hasn't, unfortunately. Al Amri was quicker in the middle part of the race, and while at the end he might be tailing off here, as long as he maintains the speed he's going at the moment, he should come home first with at least a second to spare. Luke Maxwell not quite getting there in time, and I think he might well be distracted by James Barry in these final 4 laps as well in this battle that's going to happen.
Yeah, I think Barry is putting Luke under pressure enough that maybe he's not going to come down. Saying that, it's down another 2 attempts here, because 2.4 last lap at this specific point, now 2.1. So to be honest, because it's going to be really close. Maxwell 1:16.8 last time, Amri with a 1:17.3, so half a second difference.
Yeah, very small difference indeed between them. Look at Barry now through that final corner, almost pushing Maxwell on the way out. 3 laps to go for Abdul Al Amri to take a famous win. The first driver to win on feature race debut since James Ritchie did at Spa a few seasons ago. But Ritchie in this field, in fact, he'll finish 8th today, you would imagine, as the back of the field getting very stretched out indeed, although everybody is still on the lead lap, apart from those who did not start the race here today, the feature race that is. Maxwell's still the focus here because James Barry is right behind him. And this really does change the picture. James Barry would be the driver with the most points on the evening by quite some distance if he could make this overtake for second.
Yeah, I think, again, with that pace similarities that we've been talking about, it's going to be very, very difficult for him to get through. He clearly does love this circuit. He's clearly comfortable on this track, where others not so much, but he clearly feels got the pace here. And I think if he cleared the cars earlier, and especially Paul Clark, I think could have been right up there. But I think it's still been a great effort from everybody. There's a little puff of smoke in front of us there. I'm not entirely sure if that was anybody locking up or forced off or whatever, but there wasn't anything there as we're going on to the penultimate lap. So I think Barry's got the pace. Barry has definitely got the pace.
Yeah, he has lost a couple of attempts that lap actually, but he was exceedingly close over the line to start that 17th lap of this race, so can't really blame him too much on that one. George Gonzaga has been catching Mike Bousson for 4th, by the way, but he's not going to get there in time, I don't think. Not going to get close enough unless there is an error from Mike Bousson, which is possible around a circuit such as this, but that battle for 4th should be settled. It should be really about these two and about this battle for second position in the field. Luke Maxwell ahead of James Barry. That was wide. Is that the battle settled right there as James Barry loses to over half a second back now?
Yeah, we can't afford to do it. Luke was showing no signs of ever waving in his experience, but Barry has come back at him. He got it back down to 4 tenths, now back up to 6th again, 6 tenths, 1.8 up front. Now, is this where Al Amri is going to be that right foot nervous individual on the final lap of the race? Because we know it happens to the best of us.
Yeah, it does. 2.5 is what he's got to play with here, and he loses another half a second on that last lap, but he can afford to do double that and still come home with the win here. A famous win at Rudskogen. Out of turns 1 and 2 they go. Barry is clearly quicker than Maxwell, I think, here, and that was shown in qualifying. It was shown in that first race where he was unchallenged, uncontested, despite the fact that Maxwell was there the entire time, and despite that mistake from Barry on the previous lap, he's still there close now for this second position.
Yeah, he is. He's not giving it up, James, and James is showing that he's got the pace. He just seems to, him and this circuit just seem to be going together well, and fair play to him. I think a couple of more laps he probably could have been up there in the front and maybe even in the lead of the race, but Al Amri is on his way down from 10 through to 12, going through turn 12. He's got 3 corners remaining for Abdul Al Amri before he takes that checkered flag, and you could safely say done a really good job in the feature, up 5 places off the start, and then has never looked back ever since.
Absolutely. A famous win for Abdul Al Amri here at the Rudskogen Motor Centre. He wins on debut in the Radical Race Series for round 2. Al Amri takes the win by 1.4 seconds. In the end, holds on to a decent margin with a good final lap in the low 117s again. A famous win and the first driver to win on debut since James Ritchie at Spa a few seasons ago. Fantastic drive from the debutant, who has really made his mark immediately in the Radical Race Series.
Yeah, he has. He's come in tonight, set a great precedent for himself. How's he going to follow that one? Because he's already come in and won on his debut. How's he going to work that one out?
Yeah, that's a difficult thing, isn't it? You always want to step forward and step up as you go through a season. Well, he's left himself very little to step up from now. So Well, that's only a good problem to have, I suppose, winning on your first race. There is the slide over the line from the final drivers to finish, and that will be that for your racing at Rudskogen tonight. 30 laps of action here in Scandinavia, and it ends with a new race winner, Abdul Al-Amri, by 1.4 seconds ahead of Luke Maxwell. It was James Barry to round out the podium. Mike Pearson held on ahead of George Gonzaga, who was closing at the end there. Paul Clark finished alone in 6th, despite defending for most of that one. Jamie G was nearly half a minute back in 7th. James Ritchie nearly a minute and a half back in 8th. Joseph Emmett didn't complete the final couple of laps. Robert Woodward and Alec Patterson never got off the line. So that will be that for the racing here at Rudskogen. Fantastic racing, I've got to say. I did enjoy that one, despite the difficulty in overtaking, and a decent event in the end, even if it wasn't a driver's favourite.
Yeah, it was. They did well with what they were given. And I think that is literally all that matters. And yeah, great job from all of them. I look forward to seeing what they can do next time.
We do. So let's get into some post-race interviews, shall we? Starting off with Luke Maxwell, who can join us now, as he so often does. Welcome in, Luke. Good to have you with us here. Second place in the second race, holding on from James Barry, and second place in the first as well, just behind James Barry on that occasion. Was it as difficult to overtake around here as it's sometimes advertised?
Yes, every bit. Yeah, definitely. Definitely not an easy place to race, to stay on track. There's loads of off tracks everywhere. I think I got a 0x in the first race, which is a bit of a miracle. But yeah, James, I think, was quickest tonight. Overall, he definitely showed his pace in qualifying and sprint. So I was really pleased to manage to keep him behind me in the second race, to be honest. So fair play to Abdul there in the second race. Good result, good win, and had the pace to keep it up. So yeah, good all round.
It's a bit of a bonus in the point sense as well, by the way, Luke, that you get some extra points for finishing with 0x, so that's good as well. But in terms of that second race, how much was that about getting through the opening lap? Because I feel like it did settle those positions a little bit. Abdul, as he said, did a very good job to get through the opening lap and was pretty much leading after not very long at all. Was able to control that race from early on. You were able to get through the traffic quite efficiently as well, and crucially, I think, more efficiently than James, who didn't gain very many places in the opening sector of that race, despite starting on the same row as you. Was it the feeling that you got about having a really strong start was really what counted in this race?
Yeah, I think it definitely helped because obviously, James was right up behind me, quite close. It didn't take him too long to get there, but we got stuck a little bit behind Paul Clark because obviously, Paul Super Wide Clark's not got that name for no reason. And obviously on that track, it's very difficult. I was quite pleased with the move on Paul in the end. It worked out quite well, a bit of the over and under. So yeah, I think at the starts, right, you've got to just see what happens. And I kind of found myself on the outside of the right hander, around the corner there. I thought, well, this seems like a good opportunity to try and stick a few around the outside. So yeah, I definitely did that, and seemed to work.
Yeah, 2 second places for you tonight, Luke. Congratulations on that. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Oh, not that James Parfitt after Monday, but pass on my regards.
What you did? What happened?
I'm not in his good books.
But yeah, give a shout out to you guys. I mean, yeah, good commentary as usual. So I shall go and watch it back now. Maybe have a glass of wine.
Oh, very nice. So hope we don't ruin it with the. Anyway,
I hope James says nice things about me.
I did actually. I was very lovely, Luke. I was very lovely.
Good. Well, we'll start again Monday, mate. No worries.
We will.
See you later.
Luke, for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Thanks very much. Luke Maxwell there chatting to us. I don't know, I'm out of the loop of what happened on Monday.
No, basically, we kind of almost set... Luke went out and won the 3 races on Monday, the Little Clios. And we then all made a collective group decision that we were going to reset. We were going to try something different for the season, which was very late. And round 1, what should have been last week, became the media day. And obviously, Luke's points didn't count towards his championship.
Right, okay. So So there we go. There's a story on that one. Let's bring in James Barry. Hopefully he's not got any more stories that I'm not in the loop of as he joins us now. Welcome in, James. Good to have you with us. 2 podiums, 1 race win, 1 third place as well, of course, and one of the only drivers to be enjoying the circuit, seemingly, or at least outspoken about that. Just what is it about this circuit that you seem to enjoy and everybody else seems to be not enjoying maybe so much?
Well, it's quite a technical circuit, and I don't want to sound arrogant, but I think maybe the more in tune with the car you are, the more you're going to enjoy a circuit like this. So it was nice to have really tough competition in Luke today, and I really enjoyed the battles with him. And getting through the field in the feature race was really difficult.
Yeah, exactly. I asked the same thing to Luke. How much of that came down to the opening corner and opening laps of the race? Because the start was very important in Abdul's win. In Luke's second place, it was very important too, but you didn't seem to make as many places off of the start. Was there any reason for that, and did that hold you back as well in the race?
I was trying to be careful at the start because I just wanted to kind of play the long game in the race. I knew that I could get a good result if I stayed out of trouble, but then I didn't stay out of trouble. I hit, I think it was Joseph Emmett on the first lap and had a little spin, and that set me behind. And then Luke was obviously able to get through past Mike and Paul Clark kind of a few laps before I was. So that set me on the back foot, and then it was just a chasing game. And I really wanted to finish ahead of Luke because he's had a really strong start to the season. Now he'll be, I think, a couple of points ahead of me, but just wasn't able to do it in the end.
Yeah, 1 point ahead to be specific, by the way. So there you go. But it's early for chat about that kind of thing after only round 2. I think it's fair to say.
I guess, yeah.
It's still March. We've got a long way to go. Is anyone like to go shout out to, James, before we let you go?
Everyone who showed up today. It's nice to see at least some people having a go at this track, and hopefully we'll have more next week.
I think we may do at Road Atlanta. Everybody seems to enjoy it, so I think we might well see some more. Thanks very much for being one of those out on the track tonight, though, James, and congratulations on your results.
Yeah, thank you guys. See you.
Thanks very much, James Barry there, joining us at the end of tonight's racing at Rudskogen. 2 podiums for him and 2 for Luke Maxwell as well. Unfortunately, the other podium getters, notably Abdul Al-Amri, not joining us for the moment. We'll stick around for one more moment while we get the final thoughts from James in case he comes and wants to chat with us. But a decent time of things here at Rudskogen, I've got to say, James. I didn't mind that circuit at all. It just seems to be not a driver's favourite by any means.
Yeah, no, they didn't, and it clearly showed. And obviously, it doesn't help that we've got the Sebring 12 hours this weekend. So maybe people are out practicing for that, and they don't want to get it all. You know, they all want to do rather well and make sure they can go out and win. So that might have had something to do with it here. But bring on Road Atlanta next week. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yep. I think everybody is, drivers and viewers alike, will be eagerly anticipating 1 week's time. It'll be Road Atlanta in the Radical Race Series. Hope you join us again for that. Subscribe to the JPB YouTube channel to be notified of when that will be. Same time, same place, as always, here on a Thursday. Hope that we'll see you then. For now, though, it's been myself, Ewan O'Leary, James Parfitt alongside me, and until we see you in 1 week's time, back over in North America again, it's goodbye for now.